Yeah, I have a big fight with Tony Jaa in the movie.
Against him?
Yeah, me versus him, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big one. He's very powerful. I've never felt power like it, to be honest, from any other martial arts actor.
Really?
The speed and the power that he has is honestly mind-blowing.
What happened to Tony Jaa is beyond heartbreaking. Rising from rural Thailand's simplicity, he stunned the world with jaw-dropping stunts in Ong-Bak and Yum Goong. Yet, as quickly, this Muay Thai legend vanished. Rumors swirled, contract disputes, spiritual retreats, and behind-the-scenes drama. Even Hollywood, with roles in Fast and Furious 7 and XXX Return of Xander Cage, couldn't reignite his former glory. Dive into the untold story of a star's meteoric rise and a devastating fall that shook the industry. Early inspiration and training. Tony Jaa was born in Surin Province, Thailand, where life revolved around simple routines and hard work.
Yo, I'm so proud and very so proud. I'm from Thailand. Thailand is a small country, but I want to show what Thai people can do. But now I'm so proud to be here.
His parents were rice farmers who spent long days tending the fields, and from an early age, Tony dreamed of a different life. He found his first inspiration at local temple fairs, where he watched martial arts movies starring legends like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. Their moves felt almost magical to him, blending grace and strength in a way he had never seen before. In the rice fields, Tony imitated their kicks and punches, determined to one day become just as skilled. At age 10, Tony began formal training in Muay Thai at a nearby temple. This early instruction was a turning point, laying the groundwork for his discipline and resilience. There were no fancy gyms or modern equipment, just the old temple courtyard and a few dedicated teachers. But Tony worked tirelessly, repeating each technique again and again until it became second nature. He learned that being tough meant more than just hitting hard. It meant never giving up, even when your body ached and you were drenched in sweat. Tony did not want to settle for small local matches, though he did compete in them to test his skills. In his heart, he wanted something bigger. He yearned to follow in the footsteps of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, who used cinema to captivate audiences worldwide. That passion drove him to push his body even further, practicing flips and acrobatic kicks that set him apart from ordinary fighters. It was not just about winning a match, it was about turning martial arts into an art form people could admire. Fate smiled on Tony when he caught the eye of director and seasoned stunt master Pana Ridikrai. Seeing Tony's raw talent, Pana invited him to join his stunt team. For 14 years, Tony worked behind the scenes, learning every trick and technique needed to excel on camera. He doubled for other actors, taking the hits and risks with little recognition. Each stunt was another lesson, teaching him the importance of timing, precision, and showmanship. Though it was grueling, Tony never lost sight of his ultimate dream. Years of training paid off when he starred in Ong-Bak, Muay Thai Warrior. That role proved his work ethic and foundation from Surin. By blending authentic Muay Thai with cinematic flair, Tony Jaa showed the world unmatched discipline and passion can turn a rural dream into global success. Rise to fame. Tony Jaa's rise to fame began with a simple dream. Born in Surin, Thailand, Jaa grew up watching martial arts legends like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li on worn-out VHS tapes at local temple fairs. Their moves and charisma ignited a spark in young Tony, who practiced every kick and punch in quiet rice fields. He began training Muay Thai at a nearby temple, doubling down on discipline and persistence. This passion laid the groundwork for everything that followed. Eager to break into the film industry, Tony joined the stunt team led by Pana Ridikrai, a respected action choreographer. For years, he rehearsed dangerous falls, fire stunts, and elaborate fight scenes behind the camera. Though he stayed anonymous, he never stopped dreaming of the spotlight. Each risky move sharpened his reflexes and proved his dedication. That tireless work ethic soon caught the eye of producers. They recognized his raw talent, which blended Muay Thai power with acrobatic skills, promising a fresh face in action cinema. His big break came in 2003 with Ong-Bak Muay Thai Warrior, where he performed every stunt himself without wires or CGI. Audiences were amazed by his powerful elbows, swift knees, and fearless leaps. Critics praised this new style of gritty, authentic action. Unlike many martial arts films of the time, Ong-Bak showed the raw power of Muay Thai. Tony embraced the risk, enduring sprains and burns to deliver a performance that felt real. The movie's success put him on the global stage overnight. Tony followed up with Yum Goong, known as the Protector in some regions, highlighting elephant-themed combat tactics and more daring stunts. The epic one-take fight scene over multiple floors left viewers stunned. By now, Tony's name had become synonymous with explosive Muay Thai action. People compared him to legends like Bruce Lee, yet his style and background were uniquely Thai. As the international press sought interviews, Tony found himself suddenly in demand, juggling film offers and appearances at martial arts events worldwide. Behind the scenes, Tony's journey to the top was not easy. Studio contracts, intense injuries, and the weight of high expectations took a toll. Still, he remained the fearless martial artist who showed the world a new face of action cinema. Whenever he burst onto a screen, fans braced for jaw-dropping moves and authentic Muay Thai strikes. His dedication to perfection, paired with his humble beginnings, made his story inspiring. Tony Jaa had arrived, and the spotlight was now shining on him. Challenges behind the scenes. Tony Jaa's rise to fame may have looked effortless on screen, but behind the scenes, his journey was riddled with challenges that would test his resolve. From grueling injuries to creative conflicts, the road to stardom wasn't as glamorous as it seemed. For Tony, the sacrifices he made to deliver his breathtaking stunts often came at a great personal and professional cost. One of the biggest challenges Tony faced was the physical toll of his work. Known for performing all of his stunts without wires or CGI, Tony put his body on the line for every film. During the filming of Ong-Bak, he suffered multiple injuries, including sprains and burns. In one particularly dangerous scene, Tony fought while his pants were literally on fire. He recalled in an interview how the flames burned his eyebrows, eyelashes, and nose as they spread rapidly. Despite the pain, Tony powered through multiple takes to get the scene just right. For him, every stunt was a way to prove his dedication to the craft, even if it meant risking his safety. While injuries were a constant battle, Tony also faced challenges within the film industry itself. His mentor, Pana Ridikrai, played a significant role in shaping his career, but their relationship wasn't without strain. As Tony's fame grew, creative differences between the two began to surface. One of their planned films, Sword, was cancelled, leaving whispers of tension behind. Though neither commented publicly on their falling out, the strain was evident as Tony navigated the pressures of stardom on his own. Adding to his struggles was Tony's restrictive contract with Sahamongkol Film. The Thai studio that managed his career. The studio controlled nearly every aspect of his professional life, from his schedule to his earnings. While they provided for his family, Tony's creative freedom was severely limited. When he finally broke away from the studio in 2013, it wasn't without a fight. The studio even tried to block his role in Fast and Furious 7, demanding a massive $50 million. The legal and professional battles left a lasting impact, and to this day, Tony hasn't worked on a Thai film since. Despite these challenges, Tony never gave up. His story is a testament to his resilience and determination. Behind the jaw-dropping stunts and global fame was a man who fought tirelessly, not just on screen, but in every aspect of his life. Retreat and return. At the height of his fame, Tony Jaa shocked the world by stepping away from the glamorous life of martial arts stardom. Just as his career was reaching new heights, with films like Ong-Bak and Yum Goong earning him global recognition, Tony disappeared from the spotlight in 2010. His retreat wasn't a dramatic meltdown, as some rumors suggested, but rather a deeply personal decision to find peace and clarity. He chose to become a Buddhist monk, immersing himself in a simple and spiritual life far removed from the chaos of the film industry. The pressures that led to this retreat had been building for years. Tony had pushed his body to the limit with stunts that left him with countless injuries, and the demands of fame weighed heavily on his spirit. Behind the scenes, he was also dealing with legal battles and professional conflicts, particularly with Sahamongkol Film, the Thai studio that tightly controlled his career. The intense work schedule and lack of creative freedom took their toll, leaving Tony yearning for an escape. The life of a monk, rooted in meditation and simplicity, offered him a chance to step back and find balance. For a while, Tony embraced the peace of temple life, leaving behind the cameras, the stunts, and the relentless expectations of stardom. This retreat wasn't unusual in Thai culture, where spending time in a monastery is often seen as a rite of passage or a way to reset one's life. For Tony, it was a moment to reflect on his journey and reconnect with his roots. However, the peaceful life couldn't last forever. The pull of the film industry and the responsibility to support his family eventually brought him back. In 2012, Tony returned to the spotlight, this time with a renewed focus on balancing his personal life and career. He married his longtime girlfriend, Parachat Chotafan, and together they welcomed 2 daughters. For a time, it seemed like Tony had found stability, splitting his focus between being a global star and a devoted family man. However, his return wasn't without challenges. Although he landed roles in Hollywood films like Fast and Furious 7 and XXXC, Return of Xander Cage, these projects failed to showcase the raw talent and charisma that had once made him a sensation. His journey became a balancing act between reclaiming his former glory and navigating the pressures of fame. Tony's retreat and return remind us that even the strongest warriors need time to heal and rediscover their purpose. It's a story of resilience, reflection, and the ongoing struggle to find balance in a demanding world. Hollywood transition. When Tony Jaa burst onto the scene with Ong-Bak, Muay Thai warrior, fans and critics alike hailed him as the next big martial arts legend. His incredible athleticism, combined with his raw and wire-free stunts, made him a standout in the world of action cinema. After dominating the Asian market and gaining international fame, Hollywood came calling. It seemed like the perfect next step for the star, but Tony's transition to Hollywood wasn't as smooth as many had hoped. One of Tony's first major Hollywood roles was in Fast and Furious 7, where he starred alongside action heavyweights like Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Fans were excited to see him share the screen with Donnie Yen in XXX, Return of Xander Cage. However, while these movies gave him global exposure, they didn't fully showcase the skills that made him a star. In these films, Tony was reduced to small roles, often with limited screen time and dialogue. The raw, explosive energy that he brought to his Thai films felt missing. His Hollywood appearances were just glimpses of what he could do, leaving fans wanting more. One of the challenges Tony faced in Hollywood was the language barrier. As a Thai speaker, he had to work hard to adapt to English-speaking roles, which limited the depth of the characters he could portray. While he eventually improved his English enough to give interviews by 2014, the early struggles likely affected his ability to land leading roles. Hollywood's preference for dialogue-heavy action heroes didn't align with Tony's style, which relied more on physicality and performance than words. Another obstacle was his lack of creative control. In Thailand, Tony was involved in shaping the choreography and direction of his films, which allowed him to showcase his unique style of Muay Thai. In Hollywood, however, he had to follow the studio's vision, limiting his ability to bring his authentic self to the screen. The studio system, which often prioritizes flashy effects over raw talent, didn't fully embrace what made Tony special. Despite these challenges, Tony Jaa's Hollywood journey has been a valuable chapter in his career. While he hasn't yet had a breakout Hollywood role that matches his earlier Thai films, his persistence and willingness to adapt show his dedication to his craft. For fans, the hope remains that Tony will one day return to the spotlight and reclaim the magic that made him a global icon. Legacy and reflection. After cementing his martial arts stardom in Thailand with films like Ong-Bak and Yum Goong, Tony Jaa made the leap to Hollywood, a move that promised to take his career to the next level. Fans were excited to see their favorite martial arts star sharing the screen with global action icons. However, Tony's transition to Hollywood was far from smooth, and the challenges he faced revealed just how complex breaking into the Western film industry could be. One of the biggest obstacles Tony encountered was the language barrier. Coming from a rural background in Thailand, English wasn't a language he grew up speaking fluently. Although Tony worked hard to improve, he still struggled to deliver lines in English early on, which limited his roles. Hollywood often cast him in action-heavy parts with minimal dialogue, failing to showcase his full range as a performer. This led to criticism that his Hollywood roles lacked the charisma and depth he had shown in his earlier Thai films. Another challenge was adapting to the Hollywood style of filmmaking. In Thailand, Tony had more control over his fight choreography and stunts, often performing dangerous sequences without wires or CGI. His raw, authentic style was what made him famous. But in Hollywood, the filmmaking process was more controlled, with safety protocols and creative restrictions in place. While this ensured smoother productions, it also meant that Tony couldn't fully display the breathtaking, no-holds-barred action that had made him a global sensation. Despite these hurdles, Tony landed roles in major franchises like Fast and Furious 7 and XXX, Return of Xander Cage. Sharing the screen with stars like Vin Diesel and Donnie Yen gave him exposure to a wider audience, but the roles often felt secondary, as if they didn't fully utilize his incredible martial arts talent. Fans who remembered the fearless Tony Jaa from Ong-Bak were left wanting more, feeling that Hollywood hadn't done justice to his abilities. Adding to the complexity of his Hollywood transition was the fallout with his former Thai studio, Sahamongkol Film. Their restrictive contract had controlled much of his career, and breaking free came with legal battles that affected his ability to return to Thai cinema. As a result, most of his post-Ong-Bak films were Western productions, which lacked the cultural authenticity and creative freedom he once enjoyed. In early March 2003, a mysterious story emerged from the heart of Imperial, Nebraska. A little boy, Colton Burpo, passed away during surgery. To the surprise of everyone, he regained consciousness and started recounting stories of mysterious encounters he claimed to have had in heaven after passing out. What did Burpo see in heaven, and what shocking revelation does he have about Jesus? Join us on a journey of faith, prayer, and the mysteries of heaven through the story of this young man.
You tell me what you remember about heaven, okay?
Okay.
Was it colorful or black and white?
It was colorful.
What kinds of colors?
Well, it's all the colors we have here on Earth.
Colton Burpo's sickness. Imagine the terror of being whisked away for emergency surgery at the tender age of 4. Surrounded by unfamiliar faces and separated from your loved ones, the fear must have been overwhelming. This was the ordeal faced by little Colton Burpo, who miraculously survived an emergency appendectomy. His family's relief knew no bounds. However, as Colton recovered from the painful surgery, his parents, Todd and Sonia Burpo, noticed an extraordinary change in their son. Little by little, Colton began sharing astonishing tales of his heavenly adventure during the surgery. He disclosed surprising details and private family matters that left his parents stunned. It became clear that Colton's encounter with Jesus had profoundly changed his perspective on life. News of Colton's experiences spread rapidly, and people eagerly asked, "What is heaven like?"
Are there many people in heaven?
Yes, there are a lot of people.
Does heaven look like Earth?
It does have a little bit of the same texture.
Colton's vivid descriptions offered a glimpse into the celestial realm, leaving all who heard him captivated. It all started on a chilly March 2003. Colton Burpo woke up with a fever. To his parents, Todd and Sonia, it seemed like a typical childhood illness, a minor inconvenience that would soon pass. After all, Colton was a vibrant, energetic little boy full of life. Little did they know that their world was about to be turned upside down. At first, the signs were not serious: a slight fever, nausea, and stomach pain. However, the symptoms quickly escalated. Colton's once bright, active demeanor faded, replaced by increasing pain and lethargy. His parents watched in distress as his condition worsened, his fever spiking and his body trembling with each breath. Desperate, Todd and Sonia took Colton to the local clinic, where doctors, mistakenly diagnosing a simple stomach flu, sent them home with medication. But that night, Colton's pain became unbearable, and his tiny body began to convulse. Frantic, his parents rushed him back to the hospital, their hearts pounding with fear. Colton cried out in agony, holding his stomach, his once bright blue eyes filled with terror. His skin was pale and clammy, and the doctors were baffled. Hours passed as the medical staff searched for answers, but the delay in diagnosing the true cause of Colton's illness was proving to be fatal.
What we have today, and at the end of the day, they've kept true to their word to tell Colton's story, Colton's way, and we're really thrilled with it.
Unbeknownst to them, his appendix had ruptured, and for nearly 5 days, deadly toxins had been spreading throughout his abdomen, poisoning his body. Doctors were finally able to diagnose the infection as peritonitis. It has silently spread through Colton, and time has run out. The Burpo's world was crumbling before their eyes as they watched their son's condition deteriorate. Deep in their bones, they knew something was wrong. This wasn't just a fever or a stomach bug. It was a terrifying, painful illness. As a pastor, Todd had faced moments of despair, but nothing like this. The growing dread gnawed at him with each passing hour. He found himself at a breaking point, kneeling in the hospital's cold, dimly lit chapel, his hands held tightly together, trembling with fear. Tears welled in his eyes as he cried out to God with a desperation he had never felt. "Please, God, don't take my son," he pleaded. The weight of uncertainty was unbearable, and he needed a miracle. The doctors decided to perform emergency surgery. It was Colton's only chance. The family waited in agonizing silence as their little boy was wheeled away into the operating room. But what happened to him in the theater will shock you. Encounters beyond the earthly realm. Hours ticked by, each minute feeling like an eternity. Sonia stared at the clock, her heart pounding, her mind racing through the worst possible outcomes. Then, the unthinkable happened. During the surgery, Colton's heart stopped for a brief, terrifying moment. The little boy lay lifeless on the operating table, clinically dead. The doctors worked frantically to revive him, fighting against time and the odds. Amid this chaos, something extraordinary happened. While his body lay motionless, Colton claimed that his soul had ventured somewhere far beyond. When he was revived and brought back from the brink of death, the sterile hospital walls seemed to hold a new significance for Colton. The experience had left an indelible mark on him, forever changing his perspective on life. Colton's illness, which had plunged his family into despair, unexpectedly led them to a profound revelation. His near-death experience and subsequent account of what he saw in heaven would shock you.
His father Todd tells about Colton's near-death experience in the book, Heaven is for Real.
As the young boy lay on the operating table, slipping away into the clutches of death, his parents clung desperately to their faith. Doctors exchanged worried glances, whispering concerns about Colton's deteriorating condition. His heart eventually stopped, and he died. In that terrifying moment, he seemed to stand still as he crossed the threshold between life and death. However, instead of fading into darkness, Colton claims he was transported to a place beyond imagination, heaven. Miraculously, he returned to life, sharing an extraordinary account of his experience that would profoundly shake those who heard it. This was when things started to get interesting. You can't miss this part. Keep watching. Colton told his parent he saw Jesus radiating with love, As though that wasn't shocking enough, he started sharing other things he couldn't have known, which sent ripples through the world. His story raised questions about the power of prayer, faith, and the mysteries of the afterlife. He returned, not empty-handed, but with a message that would challenge beliefs and stir hearts. He had seen heaven, met Jesus, and returned to tell the tale. Initially, his parents were not sure how to react. His father, Todd, a pastor, assumed his son's strange words were simply the after-effects of anesthesia or trauma. However, Colton was adamant, describing a world unlike anything on Earth, a place filled with colors more vibrant and radiant than he had ever seen. Colton spoke of an overwhelming peace and joy, a serenity he couldn't fully explain but that enveloped him entirely. Heaven was real, Colton insisted, and he had been there. His parents were left speechless, unsure of how to respond. However, as Colton continued to describe this otherworldly realm, something shifted. His details were startlingly specific, far too precise for a young child to fabricate. He spoke of angels, their voices harmonizing in a celestial choir, singing melodies more beautiful than anything on earth. He described animals playing in endless fields of light, free and joyful.
Did you see animals?
Yeah, I saw animals, and one of the animals that I enjoyed playing with was the lions.
Every word he spoke painted a vivid picture of heaven, leaving his parents unsure what to believe. Then, Colton shared something even more astonishing. He began describing things that no one thought he could know. He claimed he saw his parents during his surgery, even though he had been unconscious the entire time. Colton said he watched his father, Todd, pray fervently in one room while his mother, Sonia, gathered with their church community in another. He knew exactly where they were and what they were doing. The eerie accuracy of his descriptions baffled his parents. How could their son, who had been in surgery, know these things? The months that followed Colton's recovery were filled with moments that left Todd and Sonia in complete awe. Colton began to share more about his time in heaven, slowly and almost casually, as if the memories were unfolding before him. He told his parents that during the surgery, he left his body and went to heaven. While his parents struggled to understand the possibility, Colton's innocent and unshakable belief in what he had seen was undeniable. But something more baffling is just ahead. Meeting the dead. One of the most emotional revelations came when Colton spoke of meeting people he had never known in life, people who had passed away long before he was born. Colton told his parents he had met his sister, a sibling they had never discussed with him. His sister, who they had lost to miscarriage before Colton was born, had been a secret they kept to themselves. Their young son was telling them about a sister they had never introduced him to. Colton described her in detail, mentioning she looked exactly like his sister in the real world, Cassie Burpo, but with brown hair. He also said she was hugging him too much, which made him uncomfortable since he wasn't a hugging person. She was there in heaven, waiting for her family, eager to one day meet her parents. This revelation shattered Todd and Sonia's hearts in a way they never expected. The grief they had buried long ago resurfaced, but this time, it came with an overwhelming sense of peace. Colton said their daughter was in heaven, and she was excited to meet them when their time came. The moment was deeply moving, and Todd and Sonia couldn't help but believe their son had truly encountered something beyond this world. However, Colton's story didn't end there. He also said he met his great-grandfather, a man he had never known in life but whom he called Pop. Colton described him perfectly clearly, not as the older man Todd had known, but as a young and vibrant man full of energy and life. Todd was left speechless. Colton had never seen pictures of his great-grandfather as a young man, yet his description was eerily accurate. The more Colton spoke, the more Todd realized his son couldn't have made any of this up. As the stories unfolded, it became clear that Colton's journey to heaven was not just a figment of his imagination. He had seen something real, something profound.
The depth of what he'd experienced by any means. He'd just say little things once in a while.
The most shocking revelation came when Colton began to speak about Jesus with the pure innocence of a child. Colton described Jesus as a man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He spoke of Jesus's dazzling white robes and a crown of gold surrounded by light so bright it was almost blinding. However, what left everyone in awe was the specific details Colton shared about Jesus. He described the marks on Jesus's hands and feet, marks that Todd instantly recognized as the wounds from the crucifixion. Colton had no way of knowing this, yet his description was unmistakable. What Colton revealed about Jesus sent shockwaves through everyone. Jesus, Colton said, wasn't just a figure of love and peace. Did he drop another controversial bombshell as usual in his character? You wouldn't want to miss this part, so let's find out.